Peace, brothers. I hope you're all doing pretty good. So, a few friends, a few circumstances made me think about some of the old stuff we used to talk about. It seems the lack of male focused discussion, all the old problems that we used to always try and address, they don't seem to be as prominent anymore. So it did make me think how many men are still in pain and in agony, even over past events, tragedies, those betrayals, those heavy injustices. In many ways, these men are not the same anymore, are they? I mean, we talk about broken men, we talk about, I guess in many ways, they were murdered. I mean, men who are shadows of their former self, aren't they in many ways dead? And if somebody has lost all their personality and lost all their memory, isn't that a type of death as well? And aren't those who were responsible for that, aren't they also responsible for his murder? And I'm pretty sure before long, if not already, many of you will have met or had friends or knew people who are now just the shell of their former self. And it caused me to think about men's recovery. It caused me to remember some of the old discussions we used to have. And it made me think that these men, young and old, I'm surprised how young a lot of these guys are now. Over their coming years, after their ill treatment, after their death or their murder through false accusation or injustice or betrayal, they don't seem to do very well. They don't seem to recover. And I hope you guys won't think this is a victim blaming video. And I think if you hear me out, I think you'll agree that a lot of the points will be well worth bearing. And I think a lot of times men fail to recover for two main reasons. I mean, recover in that they fail to come to terms and their ordeal still plays heavy over and over in their lives, in their mind. First of all, this is not to belittle or play down the immensity and the severity of what happened, nor the urgency of which justice and righteous remedy needs to be enacted. But I think the first reason why men fail to recover and go beyond daily suffering is totally isolated and abandoned by those they believed would save or help them, namely the state or their family or their friends. Now, what men need to realise is our society, our culture, regards men as breadwinners. And even if you're down, even if you're in the pits, even when you're in that state you're in, you're still expected to play this role. So this means you're left with your own devices. So any help or guidance or any recovery is completely dependent on your own striving. And there's no point demanding, why won't the state help me? Where's my so-called friends? So much for family. There's no point doing that, because they simply don't care. And it doesn't matter. I mean, at this point, it doesn't matter whether that's a good or a bad thing, because this does not help or contribute to the necessity of you needing to construct your goals, envisage or have a long-term vision of where you want to be, and to put some strategy into your recovery. And you have to be doing all this whilst maintaining your own dignity and holding on to your principles, your etiquettes, and all those things that used to fundamentally make you who you are. Now, I'm not referring to the social conditioning and the social engineering. By now, you must have realized how deeply you were deceived. I'm not talking about those things. I'm talking about those things that you yourself would hold valuable in a man, in a good person. So you have to put yourself on the road to recovery while still being a person you can respect. Because if you start selling out your own soul and betraying your own ethics, it's just another way that they've destroyed you. It's just another indication that they've won. And you can rebuild yourself. You can revive yourself whilst holding on to all those attributes that no doubt you spent your childhood years, your teenage years learning and building up the man who you wanted to be. And now you can hold on to those with the additional experiences and knowledge that you've recently learned. And now you can add to your character resume. And I think the second reason, and I'll end up here, the second reason guys struggle is because they want their old lives back. But guys, you have to realise that back then, when you were stronger, more physically and mentally stable, when you had more resources, when you were in a better position to make your old life work and succeed, despite all your efforts and urgency, that life failed. And for some of you, it failed disastrously. And it's exactly why you're in the position you are now. So please, again, do not regard this as a victim blaming. Like I said, all I'm trying to do is to explain to many of you that are not privy to the old discussions, that your recovery, your rejuvenation now depends upon your next move. Not what the state has for you, not what your friends have for you, not what your family have for you. And for many of you, that move is simply changing your attitude and your perspective on life. Your old life is gone. And like I said, it doesn't matter at this point, from this point on, it does not matter whether that is a good or a bad thing. What matters now is how you deal with it. And that means deciding what to do next, and most importantly, changing how you feel about it. I mean, for some of you, it's like small steps like physical and mental exercise, of course, and for others, it's legal and direct ramifications in addressing the matter. But whatever the action, you simply must and have to keep to the regiment, to the regimental following of your strategy. You must stick to the plan, because after this, there is nothing else. After this, there's just you feeling sorry for yourself on your chair, blaming the world, blaming society, blaming the state, your family, your friends, your ex, none of whom give a shit about you. And like I said, that doesn't matter now. Right now, what matters is how you're gonna rebuild yourself. Because right now, to them, you are the failed leader. You are the failed breadwinner. Now, that being said, this does not necessarily mean you kill your old self and throw away all your old personality and all your old memories. And I think this is a step too far into falling on the sword. I don't think it's necessary. I think sometimes you can take recovery in an irrational direction. I mean, the phoenix that rises from your ashes doesn't necessarily need to disregard your old sigil of character, all the good elements and traits of your personality that I'm sure many of you built as a man in all the old novelistic stories, or the old films you used to watch and took away from, and all the old books you used to read. You can still hold on to all those things. Like I said, they don't need to take those. They don't need to take that part of you away. You know, don't let them win in that sense. Now, that being said, similarly, there is no reason you can't enjoy some of your old hobbies, some of the old places you used to go to, you know, some of the old good habits you used to have. Because I know many of the memories you'll have will be mixed with the good memories and some of the bad memories that led to your disaster, to your tragedy. And the dimorphic contrast of those days that you enjoyed against those days that led up to your betrayal and the injustices will cause you to often throw them all out. So psychologically you'll be blocking it all. I used to try and teach how to extract all the good memories, all the good parts of yourself from your old life, and leave behind all the bad parts. If you can learn to recollect old memories, to recollect and keep your past whilst detaching yourself from the emotions, then you will be able to reclaim all your old hobbies and reclaim all those old habits and parts and characteristics, personalities, attributes, and traits of yourself. That's how you do it, and you can begin to enjoy all those old things without being reminded of the bitter times, because you don't have to be a card carrying victim who lost his kids, who lost his finances, who was falsely imprisoned. You don't have to carry their label of being a failed leader or a failed breadwinner. Yeah, so that's all I've got to say for today, and if you don't take the advice, I mean, there's nothing after this. I mean, you either do it or you don't. As Yoda said, there is no try. You do it or you don't. And when blaming the world doesn't work, you'll start blaming yourself, and that's not a road you want to go down. Good luck with this.